Sweet Mother of God, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome
Live-ish.
to welcome to another episode of Pop Go the Writers. Tonight we are going to talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, movies and Disney Plus series. We're going to break down all 32, I believe it is, current projects in production of some sort and just tell you what we know about them, what we think might be happening, and would love to get your guys' opinions and thoughts and everything else. I'm also shooting all my energy off here in the beginning, so we'll just get that out of the way. I am joined tonight by my good friend, Paul DeStory. Say hello.
Hello. You didn't say hello,
I
Paul.
didn't. I didn't. I decided to pull back on that the last second.
Okay.
A little tease. And how you doing, Paul?
I'm doing all right. Being kind of amazed is doing the research for this show, going, holy crap, how much stuff is coming?
Oh, I
I
know. I
mean,
know. It's insane.
it's like, you knew it kind of, in your head, you're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff. When you start actually writing it down and checking it out and everything, it's like 20 things that they've got on. I mean, I don't know.
It,
People keep going, when is the X-Men? It's like they don't have any slots for
Oh,
them.
I know. I know. Somebody was saying that Nate, one of the executive producers, Nate, I can't think of his last name, but has been doing a lot of press for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
And Kevin Feige hasn't. And I'm like, of course he hasn't. He's a little busy.
Yeah, there's a couple of shows going on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a couple things in the hopper. You might want to give him a break.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. But we are going to, going forward, starting next week, is the release of the Bad Batch. And the way it's going to play out is they're going to do weekly episodes in bulks, in bunches. So there'll be some released on the 4th for May the 4th, and then on the 7th. So next Sunday, we'll be able to talk about all the Bad Batch that had come out at that point. And then we'll cover it for the next 4 weeks because that's how it'll be released.
Right.
So we'll
While
get
we're trying
chunks
to
at a time.
tighten up the show to a tight 90.
Yes,
Yeah,
to a tight
we're
90.
going to be looking at like big batches of stuff. So
Yes. Yes, but it's still only going to be like an hour and a half, or if they drop it,
yeah,
because there's 14 episodes. They're going to do probably two the first week, or two the first day, and then that'll leave 12. They do probably
yeah.
4 batches of three, and then we get Loki. So, by the way, did you
I'm
get a
low key
chance to
most of
watch
the time.
what?
I'm low key most of the time.
You are very mellow. Did you happen to get a chance to watch the Avengers Assembled for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I did. I did. It was I mean, there's nothing shocking in there, but it was a nice, kind of pull together talking about some of the threads that are still open.
Yeah.
Um they seem to be treating Sharon, for example, as she's definitely the power broker and what's going on with her. And I'm like, still not entirely still not entirely convinced that there's not more to the story than just I'm bitter and so I became a mover in the shaker in the underworld.
Yeah.
Uh,
Though
but
many villains do have had that similar origin, betrayed, and
yeah, like Jason Bourne.
okay.
So that means she's a good gal.
Only if those she's going after are bad guys.
Well, she shot Carly. Carly was a bad guy.
It's like
Yes.
John Wick. Would John Wick be a good guy? But would he be a good guy if they hadn't killed his puppy? If he just was because they stole his car?
That is an excellent point. But
Because we all can relate to the puppy.
well, hey, if anybody wants to steal my car, um, the joke's on them because it is not as nice as John Wick.
That's right. Yeah, you'd be going after the people that brought it back.
Yeah. Oh, before we get rolling entirely, I thought we should mention there was some sad news in the world of comics today. John Paul Leone lost his fight with cancer today.
Oh,
He's passed away. Really uh, tremendous talent,
yeah.
and lots of good eulogies and stuff on, well, not touching eulogies on Twitter. So,
Yeah. No, I've been offline all day, so I didn't heard you. That's horrible.
oh, well, sorry to be the bearer
Yeah.
of bad tidings. So
Yeah.
condolences to his family, his friends, and his fans.
All right. So we're going to need to segue off of that, though.
Well, we were talking about the darker elements of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So,
Right. That's true. That's true. So, yeah, I got to rewatch the final 3 episodes last night with my friend who had only seen the first 3. So we got the last 3. And yeah, the one part that got me was how completely outraged she was at the death of Lamar Hoskins. Not because they killed him and he was a likable character, but she brought up the how cliche to kill the black guy.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things. It's I mean, at least in this instance, and I'm probably going to get a lot of crap, and I understand, and feel free to throw it. But at least in this instance, it's a show where it's not the black guy dying.
Yes.
That there were, there were multiple leading black characters. I was sad to see Lamar die because I liked Lamar, but I also kind of went, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard someone else referred to him as being fridged.
Yeah, well, that's it it more or less fits the profile. It gave John some added angst.
Yeah, I mean, it was easier to do that with Lamar than bring in his parents, John's parents, who were the equivalent in the comics.
Yeah.
So
maybe they should have had the whole bold urban commando team, and the other 2 guys could have died.
Left winger and right winger.
Although they weren't left winger and right winger when they were part of the bold urban commandos.
True. Somebody referred to that should be the names of the red wing and should be now left wing and right wing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move into the MCU. And first on the schedule coming up, of course, is in July. We're going to get on July 11th, Loki. That's right.
July?
Now, so I'm sorry, June 11th.
June. Yeah, it's like, wait.
That's why Paul's here to catch my mistakes.
Few as they are.
Okay, so it starts up on June 11th. It'll run for, I believe it's 6 episodes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of standard unless it's a shorter hour thing. So I believe She-Hulk is going to be shorter weekly episodes. So it'll be more like 8, like WandaVision, or 8 or 9. So the story is going to pick up exactly where Endgame left off, with him grabbing the Tesseract, and then he quickly gets captured by the Time Variance Authority, which is a group we meet from the comics that are kind of like the time cops.
Yeah, they're. I mean, it reminds me of the in DC's Legends of Tomorrow, when the Time Council or Time, yeah. So, yeah, it's funny. I'd totally forgotten about them, and I was like, "Oh, that's a weird choice," and then looked it up and went, "Oh, that's right. There was a whole big storyline about these, or a couple."
Yep.
So.
And in the cast, we know is going to be Owen Wilson as Mobius M. Mobius. Then, and I'm going to have a hard time with this name, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who is going to play Judge Ravonna Renslayer, which is an interesting character because the character of Ravonna is a love interest of Kang the Conqueror, who we'll be getting in the Ant-Man movie coming up. So maybe there's a tie-in here.
I would guess so.
And then there's Wunmi Boaku, who plays Hunter B-15. And then we also get Kaylee Fleming, Sasha Lane, Erica Coleman, Sophia DiMartino, who is believed to be playing Lady Loki, but has not been confirmed. And Richard E. Grant shows up as well.
Who they're projecting might be like an older Loki.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I would dearly love to see Richard E. Grant choose some scenery as the Loki I remember from reading Thor as a kid. You know,
that would be interesting. Yes.
Yeah, Loki wasn't all like, "Oh, I'm pretty and conflicted." In the comics, he was a big bad.
Yes. The showrunner is Michael Waldron from Rick and Morty, and there's a couple Rick and Morty people being brought in. So it doesn't seem, it's not surprising that when you're starting to deal with multiverse, you go to Rick and Morty people. I think there's a tie there.
I suppose. Yeah. So.
Now, the trailer, of course, shows Loki involved in multiple urban legends, things, unexplained things like the disappearance of D.B. Cooper after he hijacked an airplane. And, of course, the Polybus video game that's famous up in Portland for supposedly giving people seizures and then Men in Black showing up and taking the data off the game. And at one point he calls out to Heimdall, which is interesting since Heimdall's supposed to be dead.
Well, so is
it looks, yeah, true. So maybe we'll get Idra Elbas in this. And this will likely tie into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but that's not an official tie-in. They haven't made that, certain yet.
It's not explicit so far.
Right. So, but this is the first Marvel show to already have a second season confirmed. So expect a lot of Tom Hiddleston. So what do you think about them giving Loki his own series?
Well, I will tell you, and you know this, but our viewers might not. I am not a big fan of turning bad guys into protagonists. I'm not. It's just it depends how it's done. But like, even while Loki was still being a bad guy, a bunch of people were going like, "Hey, he's so cool," and I'm like, "He's trying to murder and control people. I don't think that's that cool." But Tom Hiddleston is ridiculously charismatic, and this gives him a chance to do that, and also just ultimately, if Loki's in Thor, he's second fiddle. We're not there entirely. He may be there for his. Some people may be there entirely for his antics, but that's not. That's not what the movie's going to focus on.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Hiddleston does with it, and Owen Wilson's usually fun. And it's a heck of a supporting cast. So I'll be curious to see where it goes. And we've already got comic book cartoonist, writer, artist Jamal Igle has said he's definitely going to be here for at least one episode.
That's right. So we're going to have Jamal Igle as our guest for one of the evenings, so that'll be great. I think with Loki, I'm okay with them taking this route because I think he's been a bit of a gray area. I mean, of course, in the beginning in the comics, he's always been, he was a bad guy. He was the first Avenger bad guy. He made the Hulk attack the Avengers. I mean, just
Yeah, he brought the Avengers together,
yeah.
which they
But
did.
but here in the Marvel universe, I think I think they've done a lot to kind of convert his character, to redeem his character. But then we're going back to a version that wasn't redeemed yet. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's kind of like the same thing with Gamora, you know. So it's a different version, but I like the idea of that loose that wild card. You know, he's about to he's going to stab you in the back. It's a matter of when, and if you can control when he does it.
Yes, and you know whether it'll be fatal or not.
Yes.
Yes, it might just put you out of commission long enough for him to do whatever he wants to do. So,
Yeah.
But
plus, I mean, he's going to be dancing around the multiverse, so you never know. There might be cameos or surprises that haven't, that'll just pop up because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
With the multiverse, you could get just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh. And a lot of the Thor cast is supposed to show up, aren't they? I mean,
I haven't heard much about that.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard much about that.
Okay.
If you have,
yeah, I can't cite sources, so it was like this vague impression that I had that some of them were coming back. It'll be nice at some point, whether this or Thor 4 or to see if they can get Jamie Alexander back.
She's supposed to be in Thor 4.
Yeah. So that'd be nice. But any more Loki thoughts?
No. I think we're good on Loki. I don't see anybody chiming in on it in the chat, so let's move on to the first movie on our list, Black Widow. And boy, have we been waiting a long time for this.
Yeah, really.
Now, I didn't actually write down the date. I think it's July 9th.
I've got July, but let me do a quick IMDb because I had it later in the month, but they've been jumping stuff around.
Yeah.
So much that it's like a lot of it depends where you. Yep, you're right. July 9th is what.
Okay. All right. So this is the basic rundown of what we know about this, and we know a lot more about this because it's been in the hopper, and just kept getting delayed because of the pandemic.
Was supposed to be out before Captain America or Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep. And there's and it's going to be released on both in the theater and Disney Plus for a premium charge. So I personally, this will probably be the movie I go back to the theater for.
It may be for me as well because I'll be, as of Friday, I will be fully vaxxed and full efficacy, and I have a theater right down the block from me, so
nice.
So that the good part about that is that I may be able to catch a matinee when no one's in the theater anyway.
Yep, that's my plan as well. Yeah. All right, so Scarlett Johansson finally gets her own film that we've been waiting for a long time. It takes place between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. So it's that time that she was on the run and heads back home to Russia. Now, in it, we get to meet David Harbour as Red Guardian, Alexei Volnikov. We get to meet Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, who will probably end up being a big character going forward. Rachel Weisz is playing Melina Vostokov, who is also known as the Iron Maiden.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say she seems like a, like the previous, or no, she's not that. She's how much older is she than? She older than Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah,
she is by a bit. So, I wonder if she'll be one of the
previous generation. Or...
Yeah.
We also meet Ray Winstone as Dreykov. That's all we get the name for him, Dreykov.
Yeah.
And we are introduced to a guy named Mason, who seems to be like an agent that works with Black Widow, played by O.T. Fogbini.
I think Benley. I think that's a L, not an I.
Fogbenley.
Yeah.
Okay. But we also meet the Taskmaster, and we don't get to know who the Taskmaster is. There's a good chance it's somebody in the list we just read.
Yeah.
Yeah. The film also includes the return of William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, and there are reports that the cameo we got in Falcon Winter Soldier of Julie Louis-Dreyfus is supposed to have been the second time we saw her, with an appearance here of contestant Valentina Allegra de Fontaine was supposed to appear here first. So now that it's flipped, this film is written by Jack Schaefer, who was the head writer on WandaVision, along with Ned Benson. Ned Benson was a script by Eric it was their story, and the script is by Eric Pearson, who did the Marvel one-shots, and it's going to be directed by Kate Shortland. And we believe that the character of Yelena Belova will most likely be the new Black Widow going forward. Whether she's a good guy, a bad guy, we don't know.
Yeah. And like it, the speculation, pure speculation, I should say, if the Contessa is going around playing Nick Fury Mark II.
Right, and that's what they've indicated.
Yeah, then she could be trying to get Yelena on the team with Walker and whoever else she collects.
Yeah, you've got your Walmart Captain America. You got to pick up your discount version of Black Widow next.
Oh no, that's not fair. Yelena may not be a discount version. Yeah, well, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Taskmaster. Because his initial role in the MCU was training people to be skilled
fighters,
minions, like for the for supervillains to have trained minions to as opposed to, oh, this guy, he was shaking down he was shaking down people in alleys for the contents of their wallet last week, and now we slap a costume and a blaster and tell them to go be agents.
Bob, agent of Hydra.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much what we know about it. I think we've all seen the trailer for it. It's an odd placement in the MCU, and we're really going back to look at this story. We already seen her death, so now we're going to go back and get more history of her and learn more about her. So unless they've got some kind of bait and switch thing, and she's not really dead, which I know would stun everybody that someone in the Marvel Universe isn't actually dead. But unless they're doing that, it seems kind of weird placement.
Yeah, well, it was, it was just it was just very odd that at no point when they were constructing this did anybody go, maybe somebody would want to see Scarlett Johansson doing super espionage.
Yeah.
Before her character was killed off. It just seems really weird. Now, I sort of understand why they weren't worried about Hawkeye, because for one thing, Renner had a couple of franchises that might be happening, because he was in Mission Impossible and he did the Bourne Legacy.
And that Tag movie.
What?
And the Tag movie.
Right. But just, it's so weird that they never went, ooh, people will probably love a Black Widow movie.
Yeah. They were afraid to put a female lead. I mean, come on, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, it is. It is. Which, of course, I've always thought is stupid. They're like, oh, you know, female superhero don't work. Oh, really? How many Laura Croft uh, movies have there been now? And whether they were critical darlings or not, they certainly made money. And then
Elektra,
this,
Catwoman.
yeah, but those are actually a minority of them. There's Resident Evil, uh, female lead. The Underworld movies, female lead. If I really worked at it, I could probably think of a few more.
Yeah.
Um, but just because some people, I mean, put it this way: John Rogers, whose work I love from Leverage, wrote the Catwoman movie, and even he doesn't think it was good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And by the way, I also love Leverage. So
Yes.
one of my favorite scenes in Leverage is when they're quickly having to get on board a plane, and they ask
Can't do the hard thing.
they ask Timothy Hutton's character Nate, what passports does he have on him, and he starts reading off all the names, and all of them are former Doctor Who actors.
Mm. Yeah. Well, there were so many great things. Like when they did the episode where they were all dressed up as detectives and he was dressed as Ellery Queen, which his dad played.
His dad, yeah.
So and
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna have to pick up the pace a little bit. We are trying to keep to an hour and a half. We're already almost a half hour in. All right. From there, I believe the next thing on the schedule is actually going back to What If.
Yep.
Now, this is an interesting one. This will be the first animated series directly connected to the MCU. It will focus on a series of alternative storylines based off of each of the existing 23 films. Now, we're not going to get all of them in the first season, but they're all going to eventually get done, and they'll probably add some as movies get added.
Yeah.
Known to be coming back to do character or do voices, including Haley Atwell, Michael Rooker, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, Jeremy Renner, Paul Rudd, Mark Ruffalo, Karen Gillian, Michael B. Jordan, Josh Brolin, Michael Douglas, Jeff Goldblum, Natalie Portman, and, of course, the late Chadwick Boseman recorded an episode before he passed.
Yeah.
Now, we will be introduced to the Watcher, who is a member of a race of extraterrestrials that observe and never interfere in the going-ons in the galaxy.
Oh, wait. I believe you meant never interfere.
Right. He's never supposed to interfere. To boldly go where no... Yeah. Now, Marvel has teased the idea of something called the Guardians of the Multiverse. Like that these characters are actually connected somehow.
Interesting.
And yeah. So this may also play into the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man No Way Home, that whole thing, this multiverse they're playing with, where there's a good chance Doctor Strange will be the door closing, and all of these things are the circumstances before he gets the door closed.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are supposed to, and we expect to see the first season mid-2021. I'm guessing probably July. I don't know if they're going to try to squeeze another Star Wars series in. I don't know of one that's ready.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, but Loki will run, and then something else will have to be on there. And I think they're at a point where there's not going to be a dead week anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So something's going to have to be ready by then.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's been trailers for it. We see some of the stories. There's a zombie story that looks like Winter Soldier taking on zombie Captain America. There's Doctor Strange taking on an evil version of himself. There is Yondu picking up T'Challa as the kid instead of Peter Quill. Yeah, I mean, and also the big one
forward to Peggy Carter, Captain. I don't know if they're going to call her Captain Britain, Captain UK, but
and of course Steve Rogers in the Iron Man suit, just made by
missed that?
Howard Stark instead of Tony Stark.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's what we know about What If so far. What If was always an interesting comic series. I know that there was a big run in the 90s done by Jim Valentino.
Mm-hmm.
He had a long run on that and did some pretty interesting stories. And if this was DC, they'd be called Elseworlds.
Yeah. Although
But
weirdly, occasionally they grab something from What If, like the history of Captain America was promoted. What if the invaders stayed together after World War II?
uh-huh.
And then that actually became canon.
Yeah, well, because some of those ideas are really good.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that was a Roy Thomas.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how it's like, I know that was alternate universe, but now it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go ahead and just make that one real. Okay. After
real.
that, we get a movie that I am surprisingly excited for. I was interested in it, but seeing the first trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings really got me going for that one. We're looking at September 3rd release. Simu Liu stars Shang-Chi, who was trained since a young age in the martial arts, but allowed to live a normal life for 10 years before his father, Wen Wu, played by Tony Leung, expects him to come back and rule the Ten Rings at his side. Wen Wu is believed to be the actual Mandarin that we were originally introduced to as a concept in Iron Man 3, but it turned out to be an actor named Trevor Slattery, played by Sir Ben Kingsley. And he was doing it for Aldrich Killian, played by Guy Pearce.
Who supposedly was taking, there's this legend of this character, and now I'm going to adopt it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
supposedly he made up a terrorist, and it's like, no, the Ten Rings have been around since Iron Man 1, and the Mandarin's supposed to be running it, so.
Yeah. And in the I think it was I'm almost positive it was Thor the Dark World DVD Blu-ray. They had the
All Hail the King.
Yeah, where basically somebody from the Ten Rings interviews Trevor Slattery until he finally kills him because he dared to besmirch the name and reputation of the Mandarin.
Well, they kidnap him and take him back to the Mandarin because the Mandarin wants to talk to him.
That's right.
Which
it's been a while. It's been a while since I watched that.
So there is that out of left field chance that Ben Kingsley may show up in the movie,
or parts of him.
Yes, a head on the wall would be interesting.
Yeah, or in a jar.
A head on the wall that occasionally gets down and sits in his room, but he's like paid to be up there.
You're a weird man, Dan. So yeah, but Shang-Chi is I'm very interested. They're taking a bit of a different tack because in the comics, ignoring who his father was,
right?
He was
someone they don't technically have the rights to anymore.
Yes, he was teamed up with some British spies to fight his dad. And in this one, does not seem to be the case. Of course, those characters were also from the
Fu Manchu as well
books, so it makes sense that they can't.
Right. Though Dr. Fu Manchu is now in public domain, so they could technically do it. But I think there's also other issues with he's problematic is a good way to put it. He's
problematic, plus it's better for them to be working with a character that they own the full rights for.
Absolutely.
Because it's public domain, anybody can make a Fu Manchu movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't. And kind of steal Marvel's thunder on that.
Right. Now, in the cast, we've got Awkwafina playing Katie, Fala Chen as Zhang Li, Michelle Yeoh as Zhang Nan, Menger Zhang as Zeiling, Florian Montinu as Razorfist, who played in Creed as the Russian's kid. The trailer also introduced us to a masked character named the Death Dealer, but no actor has been actually linked to the role. And I will make the observation I did when that came out is that character looks female to me.
I think it'll just be Ronnie Chang from The Daily Show, who is also listed in the cast.
Yeah, he plays his best friend or one of his friends besides Awkwafina. I just don't have him listed here. I still think it's Michelle Yeoh.
You think that he's one of the best friends, but he's actually the Death Dealer.
I still think it's Michelle Yeoh.
Well, I know that whatever Michelle Yeoh is doing will be a treat.
Yes, but she does not show up in the trailer.
Right. I thought that at first she might have been the lady in green and gold, which some people are speculating might tie into Iron Fist.
Right. That is actually Jiang Li, played by Fala Chen. So,
yeah.
Now, take this information as you will. It is written by David Callum, whose most recent credit, Wonder Woman 1984.
Ooh.
Yeah. Speaking of problematic.
Well, I was going to say, I noticed that there are 2 other writers listed. So, maybe they brought somebody else in. Of course, you never know, too, how much of a writer's, there's enough of a writer's script is in there to qualify for the WGA credit.
Right.
But you don't know how much stuff is changed in the editing and reshoots and things like that.
And how much he was dictated.
Yes. Yeah.
It has to be in 1984. It's being directed by Daniel Cretton, who did the movie Just Mercy. And this is basically Marvel's martial arts movie. Like Enter the Dragon, that type of thing. But it's a character that was created when Bruce Lee was at his peak of popularity.
Yeah.
The TV show Kung Fu had just come out. Marvel tried to get the rights to that and failed, decided to make their own comic character, and then had the rights to Dr. Fu Manchu, mixed them together, and created the Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they were definitely, looking. And I'm trying to remember which one of the people that was involved in creating it always intended for him to look kind of like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And that
it wasn't the one who created him. I think it was Doug Moench.
Mensch.
It was that artist that came onto it, but it was a little bit later. Is when that look. So he didn't look as much like Bruce Lee in the first couple issues. It wasn't until I think Doug Moench came on that.
Yeah. Well, Mensch was writing it.
Okay.
It might have been. I think Paul Galassi definitely moved it in that direction. I can't remember if any of the artists before him did, but yeah, it was one of those things where it was sort of like he was intended to look sort of like Bruce Lee, and then he didn't, and then yeah.
And then they embraced it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, at least for comic fans, is the change of the rings themselves.
Yes.
And I gotta say, I like it. I'm not big on changing things I like as close to comic accurate as possible, but in this case, changing them to
the arm rings, really.
Yeah, which are part of martial arts. There are arm rings that are used in fighting. So it makes a lot more sense than these big gaudy rings that they have in the comics.
Yes. Yeah. I like that too. I mean, I don't love change for change's sake.
Right.
But sometimes somebody has a really good idea, and kind of like Sam's origin in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, much better.
Yes, much better. Problematic. All right,
So
so where do we go from here?
I believe, to Hawkeye. Although Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel are both, last I saw, listed
Yeah,
as late 2021. I did
right. I
just see a
actually had Miss
show.
Marvel before Hawkeye.
Okay. Well, they were, yeah, like I said, it said late, so I
Yeah,
wasn't sure. I did
I,
just see a costume shot of Ms. Marvel
I did,
released the
and
other
that
day.
looked straight out of the comics.
Totally. I did see the artist who designed that costume said, well, I guess she didn't just make it herself because it has that kind of textured look
Yeah,
that most costumes do, but really loved it. The artist was like, well, it doesn't look homemade, but it looks great.
yeah,
I just wonder though, in the Marvel universe, maybe that sort of fabric is more prevalent.
could be. I
Yeah,
kind of look at I look at Spider-Man Homecoming
yeah,
and that outfit he was wearing when we first meet him, or in Civil War also, the
yeah.
hoodie. And to me, that makes more sense. I mean, we were giving Peter Parker a lot of credit to be able to make a costume that good and to make web swing or web fluid and the shooters and all. It's like, isn't he like 14, 15?
There were some very talented cosplayers, Dan, and
There, there
they're not
are, and
super
I
geniuses.
know one extremely talented cosplayer named Gracie the Cosplay Lass, who can not only do amazing cosplay, but is also an incredible baker and makes designer cakes. So I get the idea that you can have more than one skill at a time, but I think designing your own web fluid and being good at sewing and making a costume design might be a bit far on this one.
Eh, okay, I'm willing to embrace that disbelief. Um, but, yeah, but it does look, it looks so great. It looks like the it definitely looks like the comics. Um, so yeah, I'm very excited to see how that goes.
Okay.
Um,
Here's the quick rundown on what the info we have on it.
yep.
The series, of course, is Marvel's first Muslim lead character. The actress name is Iman Vellani, and she's cast as 16-year-old Kamala Khan, and is a fan of superheroes, especially Captain Marvel, when she gains the ability to change her shape and size. Uh, the series also stars Mohan Kapoor, Rish Shah, Matt Lintz. Bisha K. Ali is serving as the showrunner and is scheduled to appear, as Paul said, in late 2021. The character is also set to appear in Captain Marvel 2.
The Wrath of Electric Boogaloo strikes back.
Yes, that would be a great name for Captain Marvel 2.
I
Just
know it
Electric
would.
Boogaloo.
Yeah,
Just Electric Boogaloo would be awesome. We should
or
definitely.
or intergalactic Boogaloo.
Intergalactic.
So, but yeah, it'll be. I'm really looking forward to that series. I have not read a ton of Ms. Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
because she started coming out when I was sort of backing off on my monthly comic reading. I've read a couple of the trade paperbacks, um, and it's a very interesting character. And she's been on Ultimate Spider-Man, or Marvel's Spider-Man. Um, and that's been kind of interesting. So
Yeah, she's definitely made some animated appearances. She's kind of one of the stars of the Marvel's Avengers game,
mhm.
so she's definitely getting a higher profile. Um, I am not necessarily a fan of derivative characters, but from everything I've seen of this character, she's a really good character.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm definitely going to give the series a chance. I don't like when they make 97 Robins, and I don't like, I said the other night to a friend of mine that Batman goes through Robins more than Murphy Brown went through secretaries.
well, I am not going to argue with you there. Although, oh, thank you, Andrew.
Yes, Captain 2 Electric, Doctor Strange Electric Boogaloo. But it's always got to be 2. It's got to be Captain America 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Face it, Thor 2 Electric Boogaloo would have worked much better than The Dark World.
Many things would have worked better than The Dark World.
Yeah. But we are, I think that'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how they tie in her origin, whether they tie it in with, yes, Dan, you're old. I am a youth.
Yeah, I know. I made a Murphy Brown reference. I know.
Yeah. See, you notice there's no silver in my beard because I shaved it off. But I'm curious what they do with her origin, whether they'll tie it in with the Inhumans.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting.
Or with the Eternals.
Yep, or mutants.
I'm sorry, what are those?
Wait, I'm not allowed to say that word.
Yes. Did you mean to say Mephisto?
Yes, Mephisto. Yes, she's going to be a direct descendant of Mephisto.
But because actually, I wonder if Ms. Marvel will come out before or after the Eternals, which is due in November.
Right. Which is where we're going next.
Exactly. See, I did a segue for you.
You did. It was a lovely segue, Paul. Well done. Well done, indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
it is scheduled November 9th. And this has got a huge freaking cast.
Oh, my gosh. I mean... So,
everybody have a seat. I'm going to read this off real quick. Please get a beer. Take your time here. Miss Marvel's origin is not going to be Agatha all along. We're going to have to let that go, Andrew. It's time to let Agatha go.
No!
Okay, from the top, we have... I feel like I should get Yakko out from, to do that, like the state song.
Yeah, the
Eternal
or state song, yeah.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie as Thena. Salma Hayek as Ajax. Gemma Chan, who is returning for her second Marvel movie, is going to be playing Cersei, who's kind of the star of this. Richard Madden is Icarus. Kumail Nanjiani and Muscles from Hell are Kingo. Lauren Ridloff is Makari. Leah McHugh is Sprite. Madong Seok is Gilgamesh. Brian Tyree Henry is Fastos. Barry Keoghan is Druig. And Kit Harington is Dane Whitman, who most of us comic readers know is also the Black Knight.
The Black Knight.
Yes.
I'm a big Black Knight fan. So,
as am I. There's a new Black Knight series out right now, miniseries. I picked up the first 2 issues just the other day, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm liking it.
To see it yet.
Yeah. The movie is directed by, of course, the brand new Oscar winner Chloe Zhao, who just won for No Man Land. It's written by Kaz and Ryan Firpo. And the reports coming in, and I don't know how much you can buy this, but they're saying that Marvel is actually stunned how good this movie is, how good this movie looks. Like the executive, this is basically a gamble for Marvel on the level of the Guardians of the Galaxy, because nobody knows these characters. Probably less people know these characters than the Guardians. At least the Guardians had been around a lot, Yeah. Where this is a comic series.
The Black Knight may be the best known, the widest known character.
Yeah.
To the general public. And they're going to be thinking it's Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. My comic knowledge failed me, so does Black Knight get us to Excalibur? No, you have to wait for mutants. Yes. That'll be Captain Britain and Nightcrawler.
And Black Knight has never really it might get us into a version of Heroes for Hire.
True, or West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Now, the Eternals were created originally by Jack Kirby back in 1976, and it's really interesting if you follow what happened. Jack was working for Marvel for a long time, felt like he was being screwed over. They weren't returning his pages. There was a lot of issues, and he left for DC. And he went over to DC, and he asked for their worst selling comic, which was Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. And he took that and created a bunch of new titles to create the Fourth World, which was the New Gods and Dark Side and all of that.
The Forever
and he
People.
Did it. Forever People, Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, the Fury. I mean, just
yeah.
Well, the problem was it didn't really take off over there. And a lot of Jack Kirby's, now this is going to be my own opinion here, Jack Kirby was an incredible designer and concept person. But his individual issue writing was never that great.
His storytelling is excellent.
Yes.
I tend to agree that his captions and dialogue, for me personally, and I know that there are people who I know who will probably come after me with sticks and pitchforks, torches and pitchforks, but I did not love his dialogue and captions.
They're great concepts. It's a great overall story, but he did better with someone scripting him, like Stan Lee. That pairing was great for a reason.
I'm just waiting for lightning to strike you.
I know. But okay, so this is when he went back to Marvel. He basically tried to redo New Gods again, in a sense.
Sort of, a little bit.
Yeah. And they never really caught on. He did a run, and then probably the next big run was Neil Gaiman doing a version of him. They've never been that.
In between, they used them a lot as ancillary characters. They're like Cersei was in the Avengers for a long time.
Yeah.
So they would pop up
in the jacketed Avengers when they all ran around in matching jackets.
Yes. Which I found that some people are like, that was my favorite thing, but that I was like, I don't understand.
You mean when Dr. Druid was an Avenger?
Well, at least Dr. Druid was not wearing the jacket over his sleeve.
His red jammies?
Yeah. I it'll be that one. I'm really fascinated to see how they work this one. Where are they? Because the Eternals were a Earthbound group in, they had been mistaken for gods and throughout the years and centuries and stuff like that. And I'll just be curious to see how they deal with that, since the new Thor eventually is supposed to have like the Greek gods involved. So they can't really say, oh yes, we were actually the people they thought. So
yeah, I think this one's going to be pretty interesting. I can't wait till we get our first trailer, which may not be for probably after Black Widow drops.
Yeah, maybe theoretically, maybe, a trailer in before Black Widow.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the Eternals, and then the last series we're supposed to get on Disney Plus in 2021 is Hawkeye, because he doesn't even deserve his own movie. But
I know people have gripes with Jeremy Renner, but as a person rather than, but man, you get to, you're going to be Hawkeye, and then, but your first movie you're mostly mind controlled, and then
your first movie you're in a bucket in the sky watching a guy play with a hammer.
Well, yes, your cameo, but it was just he never really got to do as much Hawkeye as because by the time Avengers 2 came out, it was tired old Hawkeye. It wasn't, smart Alec Clint or anything. It was dad Hawkeye.
Yes.
So.
And then we got Ronin, which was Deadly Hawkeye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Deadly blades of kung fu.
Hawkeye's best appearance may actually be when he sang on Jimmy Fallon.
Sure.
You don't know what that? He sang as Hawkeye to the Ed Sheeran song about how he's also got hobbies and things that he can do besides shoot arrows. If you haven't watched it, it's well worth watching.
So, okay. So, and in addition to Jeremy Renner in that one, we're going to be seeing Haley.
Andrew says an Eternal should be around Black Widow because they've got to build up for MCU movies before the end of 20. Yeah, agreed. So, okay, Jeremy Renner. Basically, this is Jeremy Renner picking his replacement.
Yeah. I'm curious because it's post blip. I'm curious if we'll find out that Kate Bishop, while he was going off being Ronin, was playing not playing Hawkeye, was being Hawkeye back in the States.
Well, Hawkeye didn't get blipped.
No, but he went off and played Ronin. He was off being Ronin, doing his whole, so that means that there were no real superheroes in the US being superheroes, or not many. And I wonder if we'll find out that because there was no Hawkeye at the time, he was Ronin, that maybe she had been trying, take up the mantle.
The story I want out of this is the story of a guy whose entire family is suddenly gone. And because we're starting to see the effect of the blip on all these different types of people. We have not seen the effect of someone who didn't get blipped but lost everybody else. He lost his wife, all his kids.
Yeah, most of the main character. Yeah.
So we haven't seen it from that point of view.
Back.
Yeah, and that could be even because now they're back, and he has done some bad things while they were gone. Can he just return to the farm? Andrew asked kind of the question is, will we get a redemption arc for Hawkeye, and what all did he do in that time?
But the interesting thing is Clint, as portrayed in the Marvel Universe, he's been he's a sniper. So it's not like, snipers are usually like hunting for food with their sniping skills. So, I mean, even before he became an Avenger, he was probably, I guess that he was doing it for us, the US. So, we tend to excuse people like that. But, there was a reason why he and the Black Widow gelled. So,
all right, I should probably give the details on this.
Yes.
We get the two big introductions in the series, of course, are Haley Steinfeld playing Kate Bishop, who will eventually take on the name Hawkeye. And there's two Hawkeyes for a long time, which I don't get. It's another thing. I'm not a fan of that either. I like there to be one character with a name. Also, Alaqua Cox is cast as Maya Lopez, who is a character known from Daredevil known as Echo, who So
she
they're
also
introducing
the Ronin identity for a while.
Yes, a deaf superhero or deaf character, and there's already talk of a spinoff series for her.
Wow, I had not heard that yet.
Yeah, I mentioned that later on, but. Another thing I found interesting, and I only learned this while looking this information up, is that Tony Dalton has been cast as Jack Duquesne. Yeah, the swordsman.
Oh,
it doesn't look like Duquesne. It looks like Duquesne.
Yes, but that's how it's pronounced.
Not by people that can read.
Didn't you ever watch Community?
No,
D&D episode. Anyway,
no,
but that's it is one of those ones you look at, and if you aren't familiar with it, you're like, that's Quincy, but
yeah.
it's Duquesne.
Okay, Jack Duquesne. So we're going to get the swordsman, and of course, the swordsman's the one that trained Hawkeye to shoot. He was part of the circus that Hawkeye grew up as part of, and
Right.
yeah.
Now, and IMDb is listing Yelena Belova, Florence
Yes,
Pugh.
I have that listed here as well. Florence Pugh is supposed to reappear as Yelena Belova. Vera Farmiga is cast as Eleanor Bishop. What?
Yeah. Never mind.
Is cast as Eleanor Bishop. I assume Kate's mom.
You would expect, yeah.
Yeah. There is somebody named Fra Fee as Kazi. Fra Fee?
Yeah, not
Zahn McLarnon as William Lopez, and Brian D'Arcy James is an unspecified role, so we don't know what he's going to be playing. Also, Renner posted to social media on Friday, I believe it was, that he wrapped shooting on the series and indicated that this won't be the last time he suits up. And there's also an image out there floating around in a much closer to comic accurate costume, but not the original costume, the costume he had in the Matt Fraction David Aja run.
The purple t-shirt run?
Yeah. With the purple arrowhead.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be curious.
Yeah. I am a big fan of Hawkeye. I go all the way back to his original miniseries where he meets Mockingbird. It's interesting that they're bringing Echo out in here because in the comics, Clint is deaf. He had to sacrifice his hearing to save himself and Mockingbird from a character named Oddball in his miniseries. Yeah. So, you know, that's interesting.
That correct his hearing or amplify his hearing with hearing aids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I thought that was kind of interesting. I've always been a fan of archers, so Hawkeye is going to get my attention.
Yeah.
I would be much more interested myself in a story about Hawkeye and, like I said, dealing with the blip and his time as Ronin. But they seem to be going out of their way to create characters for a Young Avengers team, even if they're not saying it's a Young Avengers team.
Or just replacement, because, you know, all these actors are, you know, are not getting any younger. So,
yeah,
you know, I think that rather than replace actors, like, you know, bring somebody on to be Steve Rogers, they're passing the torch to Anthony Mackie, and then, you know, then they've also got Joaquin Torres character
for Falcon
back, and so yeah, and
Elijah Bradley.
Yeah.
Yep. And the twins from WandaVision, and now the Kate from here, and you've got Ant-Man's kid who becomes Stature. I mean, they're really setting a lot of these up. Miss Marvel, we just talked about. We're getting America Chavez in Doctor Strange. Yeah. Now, Andrew kind of agrees. The flashback PTSD to events during the blips. Yeah, so I think he wants to see the same thing about Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And the problem is that
we'll just see flashbacks on that.
Yeah, and the problem is that Clint is not that he killed, but that he did it for revenge across the world.
Okay, but what do you think? You know, I mean, most of us excuse Natasha, and, you know, so technically she was a sanctioned assassin, to follow up on your next comment about he was an unsanctioned assassin. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he definitely was. And I'm not excusing that. I'm just saying he's not the only one with red in his ledger.
Right. All right. Going to pick up the pace just a little here. We're going to move on to the final movie of this year, will be Spider-Man No Way Home. It'll be in theaters December 17th. It is the third Tom Holland film with director John Watts and will likely cover the last year of Peter Parker in high school. It will have to deal with the ending scene in the previous film where Spider-Man's identity is revealed by J. Jonah Jameson. They do like to end these movies on somebody cursing and a big reveal. First movie ended with Aunt May walking in on him. Second one, the reveal, him being outed. The film will tie into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It will also include Benedict Cumberbatch as the Good Doctor. There has been a lot of speculation about appearances of characters from previous Spider-Man franchises, being the Tobey Maguire franchise and the Andrew Garfield.
Right.
But the only two characters that have actually been confirmed are Alfred Molina returning as Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 and Jamie Foxx, who played Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
And both will be back in the same roles. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Kirsten Dunst, Willem Dafoe have all been rumored, but none of them have been announced officially. There's also been a rumor that Charlie Cox will be reprising his role as Matt Murdock. Maybe not necessarily as Daredevil, but as lawyer Matt Murdock's, because I think Peter Parker's going to need a lawyer. But again, unconfirmed. We know that Zendaya, Marissa Tomei, and Jake Batalon are all slated to return, as well as J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. That's what I got on it so far.
Yep. I haven't heard much about this, mostly just cast stuff, but it does sound, No Way Home does kind of give you an idea, like maybe he's going to be bouncing through the multiverse.
Yeah.
At least for part of it. Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem to be that's what they're building.
Yeah.
Here we got Andrew would love to see Matt Murdock show up, but not DD. Yeah, I think that would be great. And I think that there's a chance that those characters from the Netflix universe will trickle in, but it'll be characters like Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, Jonathan Bernthal as Punisher, Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, and Charlie Cox as Daredevil as Matt Murdock. And because supposedly Fahey wasn't necessarily a fan of Iron Fist, nor necessarily Luke Cage.
I will be interested. I think, though, we can't count on them being the version from the Netflix.
Right. There'll probably be differences. Yeah.
So. Now, personally, I'd love to see Charlie Cox in an MCU Daredevil costume.
Absolutely.
As opposed to the Netflix Daredevil costume.
I like the Netflix Daredevil costume, though.
Well, it's okay, Dan. It's just after your birthday, so I'll let that one go.
You want him in the actual red spandex?
Yeah. Always. I prefer because I don't like this idea that these characters have to be armored. Because everybody says, well, it's not realistic. Neither is having radar sense or spider powers.
Yeah.
So So anyway, but
Andrew does. Well, yeah, that would be cool. Interdimensional Secret Six put together by D'Onofrio's Kingpin. I'm hearing there's speculation that might be the case, but it might be Defoe's Green Goblin that's actually the one putting them together.
I get a little. I must admit I have a bit of pushback against grounded characters like the Kingpin getting involved in like intergalactic or interdimensional hijinks.
Yeah. But then again, Daredevil did take on Mephisto once in the comics.
Now, see, it's not just me that's on Mephisto all the time.
This has nothing to do with the TV shows. And Nocenti had Daredevil go up against Blackheart and then Mephisto.
Yes, I know.
That I always felt that was completely out of his league. Should never have happened.
It was. I think it was. Like I'm not big on the concept, but but I thought the execution was pretty good. But I think it had to do with that, like the purity of his faith let him,
Mhm.
you know, gave him something. But anyway, do we know anything else about No Way Home, or do we move
That's all
on
we got on
to?
No Way Home so far. That's verified.
Yeah, so we moving along. Then we've got Love and Thunder.
Nope. Doctor
No,
Strange is actually the next one.
ah,
Doctor Strange is March 25th. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Original Spider-Man director Sam Raimi comes back or joins the MCU, comes back to the Marvel Universe after the studio and previous director Scott Derrickson parted ways. Now, a lot of fans were hoping this was originally announced to be big on horror. This was going to be a horror film, and they felt that maybe that was falling through when Scott Derrickson was dropped. But
mhm.
picking up Raimi, who's known for doing horror as well, and then
What?
Elizabeth Olsen said that this was pretty scary. This was definitely a horror thing. So I think fans are going to be turned around on that. We
Yep.
know Benedict Cumberbatch, Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, and Chiwetel Ejiofor are coming back.
Chiwetel.
Chiwetel, thank you. I always do that phonetically because I had to spell it a lot.
Yep.
Chiwetel Ejiofor are all coming back, which is interesting because Chiwetel was playing Baron Mordo or Carl Mordo, who was out there killing sorcerers. What's he going to be doing?
Yeah,
He's not going to be a good guy in this one.
and I was almost disappointed he didn't show up in
WandaVision?
WandaVision.
Yeah. Too many sorcerers.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen is also slated to appear as Wanda Maximoff, now known as the Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
And will be introduced to, oh my God, Xochitl Gomez? Xochitl Gomez playing American Chavez. Her name is Xochitl.
And I am not entirely sure. I'm sorry. I did not look up how to.
Yeah,
how to
I'm going to go
pronounce
with Xochitl until we hear different. And she'll be known as American Chavez, who eventually becomes Miss America, and she has the ability to punch holes in the multiverse. Which reminds me of Infinite Crisis for some reason.
Superboy
This will connect to WandaVision and Spider-Man No Way Home. May also be affected by Loki. And yeah, that's what we know so far on this. Will it be? I mean, it's close. It's going to be within 3 months of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it could be like almost a direct sequel in a sense.
Yeah, it certainly could tie right in to it.
Yeah. I think it'll definitely be the setup for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it, and because we already had a little bit in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Endgame, no, Infinity War, no, Endgame. We had that kind of jumping through time through the quantum verse aspect of it. So
Right.
it'll be curious to see how different the various multiversal aspects will be.
Exactly. Now I'm going to
And
stick with the movies.
And also with what if.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the movies because we don't have any set dates for any of the TV shows coming up.
Right.
So let's go through some of the movies that we'll see in 2022, and then we'll jump to the film.
We're not going to talk about Moon Knight or She-Hulk because we've got no dates on them.
We will talk about them just near the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Schedule buster. So next up would be May 6th, 2022, which is Thor: Love and Thunder. This is director Taika Waititi returning for the fourth Thor film. This will be the first film to get a fourth movie, first franchise. Yep. And once again, it'll of course be Waititi will be returning as Korg, the rock guy. Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Tessa Thompson is Valkyrie, of course. Tom Hiddleston is supposed to be back as Loki, so we'll have to see how that works out. And certain members of the Guardians of the Galaxy will be appearing, but we're not clear exactly how much they'll be in it or for how long. The only names we've heard confirmed are Chris Pratt, Karen Gillan, and Sean Gunn.
Yep.
Which he'll either be Kraglin or Rocket, because he does the body for Rocket.
Well, or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Returning to the franchise, who haven't been around since the second movie, are both Natalie Portman as Jane Foster and Jamie Alexander as Sif. And then joining the film, we have Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. And recent reports have shown that both Jeff Goldblum will be back as the Grandmaster, because he's hanging out down there with the filming. And Russell Crowe has just went on the radio program down there in Australia and told everybody he's going to play Zeus.
Yeah. He basically, he has made Tom Holland feel much better about himself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what? Look, he just blew it right out of the gate.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll that one's going to be, I'll be curious to see, because Sif had a thing for Thor, but Thor had the thing for Jane, and I'm wondering how much, because it's called Love and Thunder.
Right. This is going to end with Sif and Jane together.
Yeah. Yes, sure. But I wonder how much there will be love triangular stuff going on. Also, rumored that, or confirmed actually, that Jane will be taking up the hammer.
Oh yeah, we found that out early on at Comic-Con when Waititi handed her the hammer. She is going to be taking on the role of Lady Thor or however, I don't know. Now Jane does become Valkyrie, as Andrew's pointing out, that she becomes Valkyrie in the current comics.
Yeah.
Tyler joins us. Tyler, we're going through the up and coming MCU, all the stuff on the current slate and what we know so far, and just kind of our feelings on it. But we're doing a horrible job because we're supposed to try to do this show in an hour and a half, and we still got a lot to cover. So this is probably going to go long.
So we got like 15 minutes left. So keep it rolling.
Yeah. So also returning, if you saw Thor Ragnarok, you'll remember that little fake acting scene where Matt Damon and Liam Hemsworth and Sam Neill played Loki, Thor, and they reacted Dark World. Well, they're going to do it again, telling the story of Ragnarok, and playing the part of Hela is going to be Melissa McCarthy.
That's an interesting choice.
Yes,
which is not a Melissa McCarthy, very talented lady.
Mm-hmm. But you don't look in the mirror and go, "Oh, she looks just like Cate Blanchett."
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so I think Loki had some involvement in the casting.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and of course the introduction of Zeus is interesting because Bale's character is Gore the God Butcher, which means that there probably needs to be some gods for him to butcher.
Oh, now see, I just thought he was the guy who was the butcher for the gods.
Oh.
Like,
no,
you wanted a sirloin? No?
No. It's not that at all. Yeah. No. But this might lead to introductions of either the characters of Ares or Hercules, who are also big in the MCU and part of the Greek pantheon.
Yep. That would be interesting, since Thor and Hercules have been, the cosmic version of Sam and Bucky a lot of times.
Yep.
They're the god.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, Andrew. Just like Sam the Butcher and the Brady Bunch.
So who's Alice and who's Tiger? Yeah, that animated Star Wars series does look good. We're going to start covering the Bad Batch, though, starting next week, which is the next Star Wars one. All right, so that's what I've got on Thor, Love and Thunder. Any thoughts on that one?
I'm very excited. I want to see Natalie Portman get a chance to stretch herself a little bit out of the she didn't get a she ended up with short shrift in the prequels for Star Wars. Padme was kind of tough, and then I die of a broken heart. It just you know and
Yeah,
then
that's horrible.
so and then she as Jane, she didn't get to do as much as um I like the fact that she's going to get a chance for a bigger role, more exciting stuff, and want to see what she does with it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. Have they said that whether Darcy's going to be in that or not? I don't see her
No,
listed on
they
the.
haven't said she's going to be, and Kat Dennings said that she doesn't believe she is.
Ah,
So let's see. Tyler says that the moment in first Civil War comic when Hercules destroys the Thor robot and says, "Thou art not Thor," is one of my favorite panels of all time. Cool. Good to have some Herc
yep,
love.
yep, yep.
Andrew says, I have to believe that Taika promised Portman something meaty to get her to come back. I
Oh yeah,
absolutely agree.
absolutely, yeah.
And Tyler says, Natalie Portman is a fantastic actress in everything except for the prequel movies. No one
I
knows what happened there. No one does.
it's almost invariably when somebody does not seem to do as well as you're expecting, it's because of the script and the direction.
Yep. All right, we're going to bump on to probably one of the most anticipated and stressed movies right now, which is Black Panther 2. Now, it is slated to come out July 8th, 2022, and is still unclear exactly how Marvel will move forward with the series after the tragic passing of star Chadwick Boseman. Now,
Yeah.
Kevin Feige has made it clear they're not going to recast the character of T'Challa, and they're not going to do like a digi-double like they've been doing in the Star Wars films lately. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of options.
Well, it's so a digi double is okay for a couple of scenes, but you
Yeah,
can't. It's not good enough to build a movie around it.
right. Now they could do stuff with him in the costume, find someone of similar build, and
Well,
try to just recreate his
yeah,
voice. But
yeah.
yeah, I just don't think it's going to be. Now, Tyler says it would like to see see his sister become the Black Panther or somehow Killmonger resurrected Michael B. Jordan. Okay, this is what I've got on it, and Michael Jordan just talked about it. He was interviewed and asked what were the odds of him coming back to the film on a scale of 1 to 10, and he gave it a 2. And it's not that he didn't want to give it a 0 because he said never say never. But at this point, there's nothing about him saying he's going to come back to the film.
Right.
Letitia Wright is scheduled to come back. I don't know if her character is quite at that point ready to take on. It might be by the end of the movie. It might be her learning how to be, but
Yeah, maybe
we'll have to
trained by the Dora Milaje.
or Winston Duke. I don't know. I just think M'Baku needs more to do.
Yeah.
But
now if they want to make oh god, now I'm blanking on her name.
Io?
Not Io. Come on, Paul.
Denai Guerrero.
Guerrera's character.
Yeah.
Um
Okoye.
Okoye.
Yeah, Tyler told me.
So yes, if they would now, Okoye would be an excellent person to take over the mantle in my estimation.
And I agree with Andrew. I think Jordan did a great job, but bringing him back to life would not make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, unless it would be some of that, multiversal craziness.
Yeah. He had the purple herb in him, and
I really hope they don't do that too much.
Yeah. Now Coogler's coming back to write and direct, And most
Yeah.
of the cast is expected to return, including Letitia Wright, Denai Guerrera, Lupito Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and Martin Freeman. In the comics, the character of Shuri does take over the role of Black Panther when T'Challa is unavailable, but don't know yet. The film is eagerly anticipated, and there's already talks of Disney Plus series focusing on Wakanda.
Right, but
So
there are no details on that one yet.
Right, but Coogler has a development deal with Disney Plus. Wakanda is one of the things that he's currently in development with. So there's a few things. Now, Lupito Nyong'o said in an interview recently that about the new film, he says, "We have a leader in Ryan who feels the loss in a very, very real way as well. And his idea, the way in which he has reshaped the second movie, is so respectful of the loss we've all experienced as a cast and as a world. So it feels spiritually and emotionally correct to do this. And hopefully what I do look forward to is getting back together and honoring what Chadwick started with us and holding his light through it, because he left us a lot of light that we're still going to be bathing in. I know that for sure." So she already feels like this is going to be done in the right way, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you get the feeling that this cast truly loved each other, and the loss was devastating to all of them. And the fact that Lupita feels that this is an honor to Chadwick, like I said, that's all I needed. That's good enough for me.
It is just remarkable that he managed to do so much while he was sick. And just not just do it, but do it phenomenally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a tremendous talent, and it's a shame that he's gone so soon.
Yeah. So, Tyler says that's great to hear. I really hope whatever they do works and is tasteful. And I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, one last movie slated for 2022 will be in November 11th, and that's Brie Larson back as Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel 2. This time it'll be directed by the Candyman reboot director Nia DaCosta. And we're going to get Tiona Paris from WandaVision will be reprising her role as Monica Rambeau. And hopefully we'll find out what is the tension between the two of them. Also, Iman Vellani will be bringing over Kamala Khan, who we'll meet in the Miss Marvel series, as I said earlier. Now, other than that, nothing else is known about the plot of this film. I know we're building towards Secret Invasion, so Skrulls were important. Will this be a setup for that or an aftermath to it? Don't know enough about that.
How much will Sword play into it?
Yeah. So that's really all we've got on Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Overall, I liked the first movie, but I'm hoping the change of directors will give it a little more life. I felt that some of it was a little stiff. It's not in my top 10 of Marvel movies. So I'm really hoping the new director can really bring the character up, because I think they got a great cast. I think it's a good concept. I like Brie Larson. I want to see more from that.
Yep. I enjoyed the
if it does Sword involved, then I think Nick Fury will appear.
Yep. And because he's definitely supposed to be back for Secret Invasion, the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be covering that in just a minute.
Yep. So he is coming back, so it wouldn't be a total surprise.
Yeah. Tyler wrote a book. No, not excited for CM2 at all. The first one was the weakest film out of the MCU. And anytime I say that, I get called misogynist. I don't know why I'm not allowed to dislike the movie without being sexist.
I always say it always depends why you dislike something, but there's nothing wrong with not liking it. Dan also doesn't like it as much as I did. I liked it as much or more than most of the people I know. But
no, that's not. I did not hate it at all. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I just don't think it was as good as some of the others. Yeah. So
I still put it above Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
But yeah, different strokes, different folks. That's the way it goes.
All right, let's jump back over to the television shows. Now, these are all slated for 2022, but no actual dates for them. And I'm going to try to move quickly through them, but I'll get you guys can jump in and say what you want to say. First up, we've got She-Hulk, which is slated for 2022. It's going to star Orphan Black and Perry Mason star Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, and is expected the series will focus on her dual role as a lawyer and a superhero. They're going to play up the lawyer side and probably some more of the humor. So think of it as Ally McBeal for the MCU. It's been confirmed that Mark Ruffalo. What?
But funny.
Yes. It's confirmed that Mark Ruffalo will appear as her cousin Bruce Banner, which would have to appear because she gets a blood transfusion from him. Tim Roth will be back as Emil Blonsky, or the Abomination, which is what he should be now. Yep. So, as another character from the original Hulk movie coming back, it's being showrun.
The original Hulk movie, the second Hulk movie.
Yeah. Yeah. The MCU Hulk movie.
Right. Ish.
Yeah. Now, this is another case of Rick and Morty people coming in because they've got Jessica Gao and Kat Corio from Rick and Morty as the showrunners. And Anu Valaya is directing. And the series is believed to be the type that will have a lot of guest stars because she'll be dealing with a lot of legal issues. So just about anybody could appear. And that's why there's a lot of speculation that this might be a way for the Netflix characters or anybody else out there that they want to bring in to be brought into the MCU.
Yeah. Well, it would, make sense. She's a lawyer, and Matt and Foggy are lawyers. Karen is studying. No, she's still a journalist. But yeah, it would. I mean, there's definitely opportunities.
Connections. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to jump on to the next one, which is Moon Knight, which will also be 2022. Now, while this has not been confirmed by the studio, Variety reported that Oscar Isaac has been cast as Mark Spector, who takes on the role of Moon Knight. Ethan Hawke is supposedly on board as the series villain, and there's video footage out there of Isaac training for the series, and it looks like it's going to be a very violent series. Kevin Feige likened the series to Marvel's version of Indiana Jones, and big on the Egyptian mythology, but that makes sense because Moon Knight is an embodiment of Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon.
Yeah.
There's also an aspect of psychology in this, as Spectre suffers from dissociative identity disorder, which manifests in multiple personalities. A cab driver, a rich guy, a Moon Knight, and himself. That we know of. There might be more. Egyptian filmmaker Mohamed Diab is set to direct. That's about what we know about Moon Knight so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big Moon Knight fan, so I'll be really happy to see it. But yeah, I'm waiting with bated breath for more information.
Yep. I think we all like Oscar Isaac. I have no problem with Isaac. I saw that cast and I went,
yeah,
good on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. If the after credit scene for Moon Knight isn't him demanding his money from Dracula, I riot. I love that panel. I love that panel and the one with him talking to Punisher about still crazy? Yeah, you? Yeah. How's your god? Oh, fine. How's your dead family? It's just a crazy panel.
What I want to see is Moon Knight and Luke Cage team up and go around just as a collection agency. They go to Dr. Doom to get Luke Cage's money. They go to Dracula to get Moon Knight's money.
I like it. All right. And then the last thing actually slated for 2022 will air at the end of 2022, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Yes. James Gunn is writing and directing it. It's expected to feature the cast from the films and will bridge the gap between Guardians Volumes 2 and 3. Gunn recently posted a picture of the cover page for the script, and he posted it, and the first person to respond was Mark Hamill, who said, "Oh yeah, holiday specials always go well."
Always go well, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all we know on that. And it's going to be filmed at the same time as the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So,
right.
But that'll be cool. Now, everything else we've got, we got some movies slated for 2023.
I didn't realize Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had been bumped back to 23.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in theaters in 2023. Now, this film has got some history to it in that it was in production and then got kicked out of production because some old tweets, like 10-year-old tweets that James Gunn had made, popped up where he had done some pretty distasteful jokes.
Bad, yes, distasteful jokes.
Yeah. And Disney let him go, but they were going to keep going with his script. And the cast pretty much came out and said, no, nay, we want him back. So after a certain amount of time and looking into it and really, Disney hired him back. But the problem was at that point, he'd already started working on Suicide Squad for Warner Brothers, which also leads into the Peacemaker TV series. So that's why he's just now getting back to Guardians 3.
Yep.
We'll get Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillian, Pom Clementif, Sean Gunn, Bradley Cooper, and Vin Diesel are all expected to reprise their roles. Chris Hemsworth was originally expected to appear in the film. That's when it was going to come in after Endgame, but now that it's bumped and Thor: Love and Thunder is first, I'm thinking that's getting flipped. Yeah, I agree. The smartest thing Warner did was grabbing James Gunn. But there's not a lot known about this at this point. The last thing we saw in Volume 2 was a tease for a popular Marvel character, Adam Warlock. But again, there's no confirmation or casting of the character, so it might go a completely different direction. He might spend some time with the Ravager. We met the older Ravagers. There's a lot of directions. James Gunn's got this thing wide open, so there's not even a real good place to speculate on.
True.
Brilliant color commentary. Thank you, Paul.
Well, I mean, again, like you say, there's so little to talk, that we know about that.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they don't focus too much on the Ravagers because they are very much not the original Guardians of the Galaxy that I remember. But that's just me being a comic book nerd.
We got Michelle Yeoh over on Shang-Chi now. We don't need her back with the Ravagers now.
Yeah. Although you can never really have enough Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. All right, we're going to blast through the last of the movies we got in the slate, which is still quite a bit. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is expected in 2023, but there's no actual date given. Peyton Reed returns for his third MCU film with Paul Rudd, of course, as Scott Lang, Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne, Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, and, of course, Michelle Pfeiffer back as Janet Van Dyne. Catherine Newton is going to be taking over the role of Cassie Lang. Scott's now a grown daughter. And the big casting news is Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country is now on board as the villain Kang the Conqueror. Now, the reason I find that interesting is that we're so far out from the movie, and they've already announced that he's Kang. That's why I think he might pop up in Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Because his casting was done so far in advance.
Conqueror. Yeah.
Now, also returning will be Michael Pena and David Dastmalchian, who are Lewis and Kurt, Scott's friends. Not coming back is T.I., who had some allegations of inappropriate behavior involving him and his wife accused against him, and Disney has decided to part ways with T.I. So the third member of that crew won't be back. Now, interesting enough, in the comics, Kang runs a city called Chronopolis, which some fans believe we got a glimpse of when Hank went in the quantum realm to rescue Janet.
Yeah.
And while there's no confirmed link, a character slated to appear, as I mentioned this with Loki, Judge Ravonna Renslayer. Ravonna Renslayer has been a long-time love interest of Kang. That's why I think the two are connected. Plus, it's time travel and multiverse travel, and that's Kang's alley. Other movies, we've got a little bit of a... Oh, did you have anything to say about Ant-Man?
I really don't, except that I'm gonna be a little disappointed that they've moved off of, like, I really love the kind of heist aspect of the first one, and now it's going into full sci-fi mode, which should still be ridiculously entertaining, but I kind of miss that aspect where each of the different shows or movies have more distinct flavor.
Right.
So,
but they did that with Captain America. The first movie was a war movie. The second movie was a 70s spy thriller. And the third one was just a bunch of people fighting.
Yeah. But that's Captain America.
No.
Yeah.
And he can do no wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. Other movies that are slated but don't know much about. Blade. We know Blade's in the works. We know that Mahershala Ali will be playing Blade because he went to Marvel and went, I want to play Blade. And they went, okay. Stacey Oki-Kufor from the Watchmen series on HBO is working on the screenplay. And now, Ali, of course, was Cornell Cottonmouth Stokes in Luke Cage, who was probably one of the best characters in that series. So again, when he showed up on the door, went, hey, I want to play Blade, they went, yep.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see Mike Coulter back, though, as Luke Cage. I think he was great for that role. I didn't love the direction they went off in, but anyway, that's an aside. Mahershala Ali was tremendous, and he's great in just about everything.
Have a good night, Tyler. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see ya.
All right. And but that's about all we know about that. Then, of course, there's also the teaser Kevin Feige did at the Disney Investor Day, where he said, yeah, we're going to do a Fantastic Four movie. Everybody's, wanting to see this. And John Watt, who's doing the Spider-Man films, is going to direct it. And that's all we know.
Yeah. Yep.
So anybody who's out there saying this person's been cast, that person's been cast, none of it. And it's so far in the future, don't expect any casting on it.
I understand Chris Evans is going to be the Human Torch.
That would be awesome. Yeah, since he's no longer Cap.
Or maybe he could be Professor Storm.
Yeah.
Sue and Johnny's dad.
Now, Captain America 4 has been sort of announced. It just seems like one company said it is, and that Marcus Spellman and Dalen Musan are writing the script for it. We have to assume it's going to be Anthony Mackie led, but there's no details on it. This could be an interesting place to pick up the Sharon Carter storyline as the power broker, but there may be some better places for that. Also, John Walker. There's a lot of things left over from the series, but I don't necessarily know if the movie would be the place to deal with them.
Yeah. Well, and there are plenty of series coming up, too.
Right.
So.
And then, of course, the last movie to be considered or look at is Deadpool 3, which we know that this is the only Fox character that will actually jump over and, well, so far, with Ryan Reynolds returning as a role of Wade Wilson. Feige can see what works, and he's just kind of letting it go. Reynolds is working with, is overseeing the script for the new movie, as he did with the first two, and it's planning on being R-rated, and it could start shooting or maybe even come out in 2022, because there's still a couple vague, they have slots saved with no movies attached to it. So we'll have to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
But Deadpool 3 is definitely in the works. Um, that's all the movies I have listed right now,
Yep.
which so few. I don't know
Yeah.
what else they have going on.
I heard maybe Nova, maybe Silver Surfer, but I don't be like they showed up on a graphic at some point.
Yeah, but yeah, I haven't seen anything that I would consider it confirmed.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Wonder Man showed up on a picture in the background of one of the Marvel's trailers for WandaVision. We never got him either.
It's true. So.
All right, so other films or other TV shows that are in the slate: Secret Invasion, originally announced to have star Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn returning as the Skrull Talos. More recently, we found out that Emilia Clarke, Olivia Colman, and Kingsley Ben-Adir have all been cast in unspecified roles. And they're also in talks with Dublin Murders star Killian Scott to play a character. Now, the story of Secret Invasion, of course, is how the Skrulls infiltrated all aspects of life on Earth, some into the superhero community, into the government, and it's, finding them and getting rid of them. We got a Skrull in the post-credit scene of WandaVision, who came to Monica Rambeau and saying that he wants to see you, and we all assumed that's Nick Fury, but it might be Steve Rogers on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also a Skrull in one of the trailer scenes in Loki. When he's first being brought in to the to TVA, there's a Skrull in a tracksuit. Now, the character of Talos, of course, was introduced in Captain Marvel, but returned in Spider-Man: Far From Home, where we learned he was posing as Nick Fury, but we really don't know for how long he's been posing as Nick Fury. And his spouse or wife or whatever the character is was posing as Maria Hill.
So we don't know where Kobe is either.
No. Ironheart's in the works. We know that Dominique Thorne will be playing her. She's from Judas and the Black Messiah. Will be playing Riri Williams, who is a brilliant engineering prodigy who develops her own tech suit similar to Iron Man's. And Chinaka Hodge from Snowpiercer is set to be the screenwriter, with poet, playwright, and educator. Oh, she's sorry. Chinaka is a poet, playwright, screenwriter, and educator, and she'll be the head writer for the series.
Mm-hmm.
Have to completely read my notes before I speak. The one that really has my interest right now is Armor Wars, which will be Don Cheadle returning as James Rhodey Rhodes as War Machine. And the comic version, of course, was Tony Stark's technology had fallen in the hands of bad guys, and they were using it, and he went out basically to stop them.
Well, and he rounded it up from good guys as well, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he just went out and got all of his tech. Now, that's probably going to be similar here, but after watching Falcon the Winter Soldier, this really feels like where we may see Sharon Carter again.
Yeah.
That she'll be involved with selling Stark tech. Again, not confirmed, but
speculation.
That feels right. We have another animated series, I Am Groot.
It's about that one.
Yeah, it's a series of original shorts starring Groot, and that's all we've got on it. Not even if James Gunn and Vin Diesel will be involved. That one was just a picture thrown up at the Investor Day meeting. And then the last two I mentioned earlier, but I'll bring them back up. There's no specific name or dates given, but an untitled Wakanda series. And that was mentioned in February, announced that Ryan Coogler was developing a Disney Plus series set in the African Kingdom. And the series has not received a full order yet, so it's completely still in production. But Coogler has hinted that as part of his deal with Disney, his production company, Proximity Media, has multiple projects in the works for Disney. And then the other series is the Untitled Echo spinoff series. Again, no date given. This was reported in March by Variety, that the series is in development featuring Alaqua Cox, character Maya Lopez, aka Echo, a deaf Native American superhero who can mimic her opponents in battle. The character is being introduced in the Hawkeye series. Um, the character has a lot of crosses with Daredevil. She originally appears as a Daredevil character, but she's also worked with Moon Knight and the Avengers. Ethan and Emily Cohen are attached to write and executive produce.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all we've got on that.
I wonder if they'll tie that in at all with the Taskmaster.
Their powers are very similar, yes.
Yeah.
So that would make a lot of sense to me. I was actually going to suggest something like that as well. But that is a lot of projects.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not know how Kevin Feige is getting anything done, because it's just you know. And you talk to fans, and they're all screaming for the things that aren't even on the list. Where are the mutants? Where's Wolverine?
Yeah, there's basically 24 announced movies and series, and 24 plus.
Yeah.
And there's only 12 months in a year, and I don't see them releasing something. They might release something every month, but they're not going to release a movie a month.
No, they do about every 3 months.
Yeah. You got to leave some space so that people who wanted to see the one you just released see it before the next one comes along.
Yeah.
So
plus, you've also you want to be on good terms with Sony, so you want to make sure there's room in there for their Spider-Man and Spider-Man spinoffs. So you keep on good terms with them. So you need your room in October for Venom and for February for Mobius. So you got to have that time in there too. Morbius.
Yes.
Right. Mobius is in.
Confused with the guys.
Loki.
Loki.
Yeah. So. I'm old. I'm tired. I spent the last 4 days partying. So.
Woo!
All right. So that, like I said, that's a crap ton of stuff. And I mean, we just went through that in almost 2 hours to just cover what we currently know about all that stuff and give some commentary.
Which is not that much. I mean, most of we know is casting at this point. So yeah, it's pretty, once you get past pretty much past Shang-Chi, we don't know that much. Even Eternals, that's been in the works for a long time.
We know nothing about the Eternals plot. We know it's going to be probably eon stretching. It's going to be over centuries and from like the dawn of man type of thing. But other than that, we got nothing.
Yeah. That's an awful lot of stuff, and I'm actually kind of glad that we don't have too much, because if you know a little much too far out, by the time it happens, you go, well, yeah, but I knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, we look at this list, and you hear people going, "What do you mean there's not going to be a WandaVision 2? When's Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Captain America and the Winter Soldier 2 coming out? Season 2 coming out? How come we haven't had Nova yet? How come we haven't had why aren't the mutants back? Why isn't the Fantastic Four out already? Dude.
When? Where do you fit them in?
Which movie would you like to take off the list? Now, I realize a lot of people are going to vote for Captain Marvel 2 because they did that on Twitter a few days ago. They gave 6 movies, and which one would you? Yeah, and Captain Marvel 2 was the one they booted. But and I don't agree on that. But yeah, what would you take away? Would you want it for WandaVision 2? Would you get rid of the Moon Knight series? Hawkeye?
Yeah, surely not.
No.
And these things take time. These things take a lot of time. So, they're not going to, we not know stuff, but they know stuff on most of this. And they're not just going to go oh, well, we had all this stuff, laid out that these things will be revealed in this, but now we're just going to throw in something because, we got the properties back from Fox or
Yep.
absorbed Fox.
Yeah.
They technically absorbed 20th Century, and Fox is still Fox.
Yeah. Feige has said, look, you're not getting the Fantastic Four, you're not getting the mutants in Phase 4. Phase 4 is done. Yeah. Fantastic Four is Phase 5. And that's the earliest you're going to get any of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't expect mutants to start popping up.
This, because they've got all the series now, which they didn't have that option.
I saw some guy demanding Alpha Flight the other day,
which would be cool.
Yeah,
but when? Yeah. But what do you, again, like you say, and what are you going to yank to put them together? And that's that's one of the things is you've got there's only so much time and money, both for them and for us. When I can't go every weekend to catch a new movie,
right? And that's the downside of a cohesive universe or an interconnected universe, is that you've got to tell these stories in a certain order and stuff. Otherwise, you get the mess going on over at Warner Brothers with the DC universe. I'd love to see a whiteboard working out of what the hell's going on over there.
It's just a big question mark.
And it doesn't mean the Riddler.
No, nor the question.
Right.
It's just.
And I would pay serious money to see a Question movie.
Oh, boy, howdy. Vic or Renee. Yeah. Or Vic and Renee.
Matt Bomer.
Multiple choice.
Matt Bomer as Vic in a Question movie.
He's a little more handsome than I would have expected for Vic's age, but.
Well, yeah, but later on they make Vic a TV guy.
Yeah, but he still wasn't that handsome in the. Actually, no. Vic was always a TV guy.
Well, I thought he was a reporter first.
He was newspaper reporter. Nope.
Okay. Well, they don't tend to put ugly people on TV. They put them on YouTube channels.
Yeah, no, I didn't say ugly, but he seems. I mean, Matt Bomer is like, chiseled.
Yeah,
but
he's also a good actor.
Yes, very good actor. So, but he doesn't have red hair.
Okay, who do you want then? The guy that played in Harry Potter?
Oh, I thought you were going to. Yes, there we go. Rupert Grint is Vic Sage.
Good question.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, just give it to Jackie Earl Haley. He already played Rorschach. Not just
Alan Moore's version of the question.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But we should wrap up.
Oh, we should absolutely. We're just about 2 hours. So I did reach out to the affiliates and tell them we're running long, so they're aware. and guys, we technically have an affiliate now. We will be rebroadcast during the week. I don't know the exact schedule yet, but on the Comic Book Shopping Experience, where I do my Tuesday night show where we talk about new comics each week. Well, if you miss a live broadcast and can't get it on YouTube, you can also watch it on the Comic Book Shopping Experience. And but we're here every Sunday night. We'll be back next Sunday. I will probably be doing a pre-show for the pre-show and a review for the Bad Batch, and then we'll talk about the Bad Batch next week. And I'll try to get you guys ready for the show on the Thursday night one in case you missed it. And we'll just go from there. So we'll have a few weeks of Star Wars animated series coming up.
Woohoo!
Yep. And then
Loki. The great part is it'll be Star Wars, but no Anakin.
Right. And Fennec Shand will be in it.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. So Ming-Na Wen will be doing the voice of Fennec Shand.
So have I told you what a delightful person she is to meet?
No, I don't think you have.
She is a delightful person in person.
That's good to know.
Yes. Yes.
I look forward to one day
exactly
meeting her.
exactly as you would expect her to be, as lovely in conversation as she is in face, and just a wonderful person to talk to.
Good. That's wonderful. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us. Please hit the like, subscribe buttons so you know when we're broadcasting. For Paul, I am Dan, and we'll see you next week.